Today's opening tip, LeBron James was upset that the Nets didn't have powder available for his usual pregame routine. Scotty, who forgot the chalk?
I think the guys behind the bench stole it behind the scores table. Yeah.
Fizz, you think that the Nets are up to some nefarious stuff there?
No, I think that's his own team that's supposed to have his chalk out there.
That's a good point. That is a good point. Yeah, bring your own chalk.
Bring
Exactly.
your own chalk.
That's how this works. Hey, all right, welcome into The Jump. I'm George Sedano, filling in for our fearless leader, Rachel Nichols, today, and I'm joined by our resident head coach, David Fizdale. Thank you, Fizz, for hanging out.
See you, brother.
And six-time NBA champ, Hall of Famer. Give it up for Scottie Pippen. There it is.
Absolutely.
All right, coming up, a report from The Athletic suggests that the Clippers aren't necessarily all feeling the way Kawhi Leonard and Paul George may be receiving preferential treatment this season. We'll discuss what that means for the Clippers going forward. But first, Dwight Howard is back in a Lakers uniform, his fifth team in 5 seasons, and Rachel recently sat down with Dwight to discuss his journey from superstar to nearly being out of the league, and of course, his redemption story this season. Let's take a look.
We've been in the gym. Yeah, we've been in the gym.
Underneath to Dwight with authority. Alley-oop to Dwight, who slams it home. Knocked out of bounds by Dwight Howard.
Career high shooting percentages, career high blocks. You took a pretty long and winding road to get here. How does it feel to be contributing that on a winning team?
Just filled with a lot of energy and joy just to be playing the game that I love. If I'm not in the game, I'm loud and I'm proud on the bench. I'm screaming, I'm dapping guys up. I'm telling them where all the coverage is at. Talking trash to the other team to try to get in their head. Whatever I got to do, I'm willing to do it for the betterment of our team.
You came into the league in a time that was all about the kind of player that you used to be, the traditional big man.
Yes, yes.
Now it's a league that wants unicorns. Where do you think you fit?
Well, you got to adapt. You got to adapt and change and try to grow. Blocking shots, rebounding, running the floor, setting hard screens, getting my guys open shots when I'm in the game.
I don't know if people can see, you're wearing a shirt that says, "I'm back," and then redemption and the Hollywood letters sign. What does that mean to you?
I'm back home. I'm back home. I'm back with my family. I'm back with the Lakers. And it's time to go get it. Redemption, it's time to go get it.
What do you need to be redeemed from? What are you trying to do in this year and this season?
Just myself. You know, get back to being who I am. Being free, loving the game of basketball, doing whatever it takes to win, not worrying about my ego or anything selfish, and focus on the one goal, and that's to win the championship.
Dwight, three, got it! An emphatic slam by Dwight. There's a block by Dwight Howard. How good has Dwight Howard been?
Did you always have faith you would get back to this point?
Yes, I never stopped believing, never stopped.
That it came with the Lakers of all teams. What went through your head the first time you put that jersey back on and looked at yourself in the mirror for the first time?
It wasn't even a jersey. I think the first time was the day after I had worked out with the team, and Rob came and got me a Lakers shirt to put on. I said, this time is gonna be right. And ever since then, I've just been grateful.
Everyone talked about what a tremendous attitude you had going into your workout, during your workout. You said in that summertime period that you had been humbled. What did you mean by that?
Well, when you go through, you know, some different situations in your personal life, you know, it could really affect you. And there were some things that I had went through personally that, you know, just kind of grounded me. I needed to go through some things that will bring joy and all the peace and tranquility that I have now.
How did all of that help you get to this place you are now, where you seem so comfortable in your own skin and with your role on the team, stuff that we didn't always see from you?
Well, it's kind of like I just found myself, you know, who I really am. You know, I spent a lot of time alone, searching, questioning, and, you know, I got my answers. You know, I found out who I am, who I represent, and I'm just very thankful to be with the Lakers again and, you know, just trying to help this team win the championship.
And they might. Thanks to Dwight for sitting down with Rachel there. After the Lakers win in Brooklyn last night, LeBron James was asked if the Lakers are, quote, one piece away from cementing their status as a title contender. LeBron responded, quote, "We have enough right now." Scottie, do you agree with that?
Well, if it comes from the king, I have to agree.
Yeah.
We've seen LeBron go into the playoff with a depleted team, and he's been able to come out on top. So I think this season he's really been doing a great job of instilling confidence throughout his teammates. That's why he's leading the league in assists, because he's willing to distribute and build confidence in these players. We know it's him and Anthony Davis are the names, but it's been the other guys that's been contributing to make this Laker team as good as they've been this season. It's been about Dwight Howard. It's been about JaVale McGee. Those guys have controlled the paint. They've established themselves as a good defensive team. And when you hear that coming from LeBron James, he knows what it takes to win a championship. I believe what he says.
Absolutely, and I just think those guys are understanding how to star in their role. And the more that they continue to grow in their role, and what he said, LeBron keeps instilling that confidence in them, by the time the playoffs roll around, that's not going to be a team you want to face. And for Dwight Howard, I'm really happy for him to see a young man evolve like that and finally be able to come to terms with, hey, I'm going to be a shot blocker, a rim roller, a runner, a great teammate. And now the benefits you can see is starting to come back to him.
I think we all agree on Dwight. I'm going to be the dissenting opinion on the Lakers needing more potentially. And this is the reason why. When LeBron is off the floor, which isn't all that much, it drops off like a cliff. And I just think that they need another guy who can initiate offense. Rondo, for as great as he's been in his career, isn't that guy anymore. I don't believe, not on a consistent basis. And Kuzma has struggled kind of with his role a little inconsistent. Some nights it's 25 or 30, other nights it's 4. So paging Darren Collison, who could be available, I know there's been rumors about that. Yeah. Someone who can stabilize that second unit would be great.
But I will battle you. When the playoffs when they hit, Rajon Rondo will be ready to roll. If you didn't see him a couple years ago with New Orleans and what he pulled off against Portland.
I saw it.
I'm just telling you, that guy, that's what veterans do.
Right.
The regular season, okay, you can say what you want, but when those playoffs hit and that popcorn's popping, Rajon Rondo's going to be ready to roll.
And I have to agree with you. They have the veteran players that are capable and willing to take them to the next level. And Rajon is definitely the guy that I believe that can carry this team. I saw what he did with a Bulls team before he broke his hand in the playoffs.
They had Boston.
Yes.
They had him.
This guy brings a lot to the table, as well as LeBron James, and it's hard for these players, being veteran players and played the amount of games that they played, to bring it night in and night out.
Right.
But they're setting up something very special here.
Yeah, I just think that the key words to everything you guys are talking about is a couple of years ago. And I think that, look, Father Time is undefeated, and everyone hits it at a little bit of a different time.
We're going to put a lunch on this one.
But we will. Let's do that. We'll put a lunch on that one. All right, let's move on. The All-Star starters were announced last night, and Hawks second-year guard Trae Young was among those selected. You can see he had an emotional reaction to finding out the news last night. It's good stuff there to see that. But, Coach, you agree with Young being named a starter?
I'm happy for him, but I don't agree with him. I still think that position voting it throws it off, because Jimmy Butler should be a starter, hands down, at the 2 in the All-Star game. And it's no knock on Trae. That's really good for the kid, and the kid is an offensive monster. But Jimmy Butler should be starting in that All-Star game.
Congratulations to Trae Young.
Yes.
Well deserving to some degree to the way that he's been playing. But to take Jimmy Butler out and put him ahead with what the Miami Heat have been able to do with a record of 31-13, that's an insult to Jimmy Butler. And that's why that fans should not be allowed to vote, because it's about the players that are out there playing against one another. They know who the dogs are. They know who the best players in the game are, night in and night out. And I'm not taking anything away from Trae Young. What I am looking at is how your team has performed thus far.
I am going to agree with one of the greats, a man who coached some of the greats. I'm with you on Jimmy Butler. He absolutely should have been in. But here's the thing. The way this thing gets split up is interesting. So 50% is the fan vote, 25% is the media vote, and 25% is the player vote. And I also think, as you pointed out, Fizz, the positionless part of this. We play in a game where there are no positions. We shouldn't even be talking about front court and back court anymore. Just give me the top 5 guys. And I believe, and maybe the guys in the studio in the control room can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure Jimmy actually got more fan votes than Trae did too. The problem with Jimmy was that he was voted in as a forward, or he was depicted as a forward, and Pascal Siakam had more votes. The media actually voted Jimmy in as a starter in the front court, but the players, this is the interesting part. So the media had him in, fans had him just out, fourth, but the players had him sixth on the front court ballot. And I thought Charles Barkley made an interesting point yesterday, Scottie, and I'll ask you about this. He's like, hey, players don't like him because he sometimes can rub people the wrong way. And I feel like maybe that kind of bit him a little bit.
It's part of the game. Yeah. You know, you don't want players to like you. I watched a guy go through his whole career, speaking of Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
He didn't give a damn if players.
No, right? He don't want friends.
And he brought that kind of attitude. But I don't think that kept him off of any All-Star balance. So I like Jimmy Butler keeping his attitude and being that dog in the league. And if players don't like him, hey, kudos to you.
Yeah, and he obviously he's found the perfect home because that's how the Heat are.
You know it.
It's all about we don't want anybody to like us.
Yeah.
We wanted it was us against the world type of deal, and so he's found the perfect situation for his attitude and the way that he approaches the game. You know, it's unfortunately he didn't get the vote, but his team is playing big-time basketball.
No doubt, and they'll play tonight. We'll have more on the Heat and Clippers tonight coming up in a little bit, and more on Jimmy Butler particularly. Yeah. But coming up, Lakers-Nets, AD comes up with the steal, gets fouled, and hoists up this half-court heave just for fun, and it goes in. Scottie, would you like to see Horse at this year's All-Star break?
Why not? Why not? We may be able to replace the dunk contest someday, but I'm hoping this year the dunk contest is great.
Well, I think the dunk contest will be good this year. You got Dwight, right? Derrick Jones Jr. You may have a couple of other guys.
Jones Jr.
I need him to bring something new, though. That was kind of fresh right there.
Horse might be a good addition.
I think they tried that once. I could be wrong with like KD, and they did it outdoors. I don't know. It never stuck, but I'm almost positive they tried it 1 year. So next, we got Miss Wet Balls, staying in Brooklyn. Check out this brick from the top of the arc by Spencer Dinwiddie.
Oh,
Fizz, what happened here?
I don't know what that was. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I saw Spencer shoot a couple shots like that last night. I don't think it's the ball.
Wow.
Oh, man, that's too funny.
That's truly a brick.
Yeah. Oh, well, we've seen some worse ones here, so there's that. Here we go. Oh, come on now. Yeah, that.
This is just like.
Is this again? Oh, there's him again.
You gotta run that back.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
My goodness.
Poor Spencer. All right, next, make consistency. Dame had 47 more points last night as he continues to try and lead the injury-plagued Trailblazers. He's averaging 44 his last 4 games, but the team is only 1-3. Scottie, anything more he can do?
Just keep getting your numbers. You know, hey. At the end of the day, you know, the Portland team is going through a lot right now, and it's very difficult for them to find some rhythm offensively. So I like what Dame is doing, you know, stop me or.
Yeah, he's putting it on his back. And he's trying to carry the team. That's right. I mean, he's playing out of his mind right now.
True competitor right there.
Absolutely. He's doing everything he can.
Yeah, they've had so many injuries, though. I mean, CJ's been out for a couple of games now. Obviously, Zach Collins has been out. Nurkic has been out the whole season. It's just been a tough go, certainly, for the guys in Portland. Miss expectations. Wizards Cavs, Colin Sexton goes baseline for the big lefty smash.
Okay.
Fizz, your thoughts on this youngster?
He is a bulldog, man. I really loved working him out during the draft. He had a great workout for us. He is a tough competitor, and he will try to dunk on you every chance he gets.
You know what's interesting, Scottie? Those young kids in Cleveland, they may be playing a little harder all of a sudden after some of the news that came out recently.
You know what? I really like the energy that this Cleveland team plays with. Colin Sexton, he's going to be a great leader, but, you know, they got to get some guys on the floor that can help him out.
No doubt. Absolutely. Next, make old friends. Prior to the game in Cleveland, Scottie Brooks appears to have a nice little catch-up chat with Moondog. Scottie, should Robin Lopez, infamous for going at it with mascots, take a page out of Scott Brooks' book?
No, I kind of like the action that Robin brings to the game. This is just a little soft right here. Bring some action.
Yeah, everybody can't be friends with the mascot, right? I like what Robin.
Look at Robin here. He's taking him out.
Yeah, it's setting up his next career.
Oh, look at that. This is like wrestling.
Yeah, that's his next career. You're going to see him after he's done playing. He's going to be in wrestling.
You know what Robin did, great for the fans.
Oh, yeah. They love it. It's hilarious. Because now every game he's at, like, you're just waiting for him to do something with a mascot. So, all right. We've hardly seen Steph Curry on the court this season, but he's still managing to make some news. He was on the All the Smoke podcast with our guys, Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, shout out to them, and offered up his all-time starting 5. So let's take a look. We've got Magic Johnson, no argument. Michael Jordan, no argument. Larry Bird, Tim Duncan, and Shaq. So, Scottie, Do you think Steph was throwing a little shade at LeBron there?
No, not at all. I mean, you look at that, that's some great Hall of Famers there. And, you know, Steph kind of grew up watching the game, being a son of an NBA player. So he's seen some great basketball in his time. And, you know, not to knock LeBron in any way, but any of those players he can or cannot replace. So it's not really a knock at LeBron.
Yeah, and I think, too, you notice it was nobody that was current on the list. And I would tweak it a little bit myself. I think I would go, it's hard to leave Kobe and Kareem off that for Bird and Shaq. So that's just my team. And I love both of those guys. Bird and Shaq are amazing, but Kobe Bryant, 5 titles, did what he did from a scoring standpoint. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the most
all-time leading scorer.
I mean, come on, man. It's like people forget about Kareem.
Right. So if you're going with the retired guys, those are the 2 guys you're replacing.
Yes.
But I'm going to go and say, as someone who hosts talk shows every day, he's throwing some shade at LeBron because they've been competitors. You know what I'm saying? They've met each other 4 times in the finals. He got 3. LeBron got 1.
I'm going to say this. When you're in between the lines against players, you're never going to put them up there with the great.
Right.
Maybe when he leaves the game and LeBron is gone and he can look back, but you're never going to give a guy credit when you're in between the lines.
Right. And that's what I mean. Is because they've been competitors. So I can see him where I think it could be a little bit of both. I'm not putting a guy who I'm competing against still and who I've competed against for championships, and then I could tweak him a little bit,
And on the backside of that, I've never seen LeBron put Steph on one of the great teams.
Exactly. I think
vice versa.
There's a nice little rivalry there, obviously, between those 2 teams and those 2 particular gentlemen. Staying with Steph and the All the Smoke podcast, the topic of the 2009 draft came up, and Steph shed some light on where he wanted to be drafted at that particular time and where he thought he was headed. So check it out. He said, thinking back, I wanted to go to New York, and I thought I was going to New York. So, Fizz, are you surprised to hear this?
No, not at all. I mean, I was in the same boat. I wanted to be in New York. I mean, it's New York City, man, and it's the Knicks, And so I'm not surprised at that at all. And I think no matter where he landed, he was going to be Steph Curry. I do think landing with a Splash brother and Draymond obviously helped elevate him, but I think no matter what, that kid was going to be a baller. And I think not going to New York, he might have lost a little money, because could you imagine his marketing? His face is all over Times Square and Madison Square Garden. So, no, he would have been a show in New York City.
Scottie, I'm going to ask you, you feel bad for the Knicks here in this situation?
I really don't feel bad for the Knicks ever on any situation other than when they fired coach.
There you go.
I feel bad for them because I didn't feel like they gave him a fair shake. But in this situation, I think Steph would have been a great Broadway show for the Knicks, but unfortunately it didn't happen that way, and they're still dealing with a lot of years of bad luck.
Spoken like a true Chicago boy.
There you go. There you go. That's that rivalry stuff we were just talking about with Steph and LeBron. It's still there.
It lingers.
Now, for producer Steve, who produces this show, also a lifelong Knicks fan, we've kind of had this conversation numerous times, I feel like. It's Steph wanted to play in New York, KD and Kyrie. Feels like every so often we're talking about guys that could have been a Knick and then ended up not becoming Knicks.
Yeah, I think it's that at some point it will land. And, it takes a special kind of player to have the pulse and the kind of blood you need to be to step on that stage every night and perform.
There you go. Keep your head up, producer Steve. All right, coming up, we've got a lot. Welcome back to The Jump. The Clippers have been very up and down this season, as you saw there. We've seen them beat the Lakers twice, but we've also seen them more recently blow a 20-point lead to the Hawks. A recent Athletic story reports that some Clippers are struggling with the preferential treatment received by Kawhi and Paul George. The transition from underdog to load managing favorite hasn't been a smooth one. Several players reacted to the article on social media. So Patrick Beverley said, quote, fake news. Lou Williams added, quote, out your source. Put an address on it, LOL. Scottie, any issues with Kawhi and PG reportedly getting preferential treatment?
Not at all. Not in my eyes. I played 17 years in this league, and my first 5 years, I watched Michael Jordan get those preferential treatments. And for those 5 years, I was frustrated. Horace Grant was frustrated, and he later left and went on and joined the Orlando Magic team. But that's a part of the game. Great players play a lot of minutes. They take on a lot of responsibility as far as dealing with the media and anything else that needs to be done to sort of have a face for the organization, that's where a superstar player come in. And they play a lot of minutes night in and night out. And they're the players that are asked to carry the team, carry the load, be the leader, speak out when guys need to be checked. So there's reasons why great players get those peripheral treatments, because they deserve it. Not only are they carrying the team, but most of the time they're playing a lot of the minutes.
They get the blame when you lose, right? But also, I don't give that story. I'm not giving it any power. I think those guys are fine with what's going on, because last year they were the 8th seed, and it was a great story. But now they have a chance to win the title, and they know they're not winning any title if there's not a healthy Paul George and a healthy Kawhi Leonard out there with them. And so I'm sure that those guys are okay with this load management. And like I said, on the backside of the All-Star game, you're going to see those guys start to play more minutes together, and it's all going to start to come together.
I agree with both of you, but just I could understand if there's a person or two in that locker room that's like, wait a second, our bodies don't matter? Like, those guys get to rest and we don't? We got to be out there night in and night out? But to your point, those guys are more important for a reason. And look, the other thing that I don't think gets discussed enough is that Kawhi and Paul George have dealt with real injuries.
Yeah,
okay?
This isn't just load management just to have them chilling out.
Right.
These guys have really been through some severe injury.
Right, and Paul right now is injured right now. I mean, there's something that he's dealing with. And Kawhi, this has been discussed, but I don't think it gets discussed enough. I've covered a lot of those Clipper games. I've seen that he takes 90 minutes to work out after games and go through treatment after games to be able to then continue to play the schedule that he's playing.
Dude, you want a chance to hold the trophy or not?
And
right.
And I think last season we saw in the finals where Kawhi was laboring throughout the whole finals.
Great point.
He's still MVP of the finals, and they win a title. He don't want to do that again, and I'm sure the Clippers don't want to see him go through that again. They want to be fully healthy come playoff time and know that these guys are ready to win a title.
And he was on load management in Toronto.
Yeah.
And still labored all the way through. So that just tells you how important it is that they preserve his body and his legs so that they have the opportunity to win.
I'll never forget, Ramona Shelburne reported this now a couple of years ago when the whole San Antonio stuff was going on, that he is dealing with a degenerative issue in his quad, right? Like, degenerative is the key word. Like, that is never going to fully be what it was before. He is managing that particular injury and will have to for the rest of his career.
Yeah, and you know, like when I was in New York, you know, I was getting questioned about playing R.J. Barrett too many minutes.
Right.
Now, come on.
Yeah.
He's 19, kid's
Different.
never been hurt.
Yes.
No, he does not need load management.
Right.
But you're talking about a guy that's gone to the end multiple times, who's been through the wars, and has a severe injury. And so I think this is the right thing to do. I think their locker room is fine. The guys that are perturbed, shut up.
Yeah, that's it.
Get on the train and get ready to try to carry a trophy.
Yeah. And in that story, they talked about that Doc basically said that.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I know.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
Doc.
Yeah.
Doc, that is exactly what Doc said. Is shut up and get ready to ride in the parade.
Right. Keep it in-house, basically. All right, so the Clippers are in Miami tonight, which, let's face it, it's been the hardest place to win this season in the
them boys
NBA.
are balling.
The Heat are 20-1 at American Airlines Arena, the best home record in the league. So, Coach, you know this. You coach there. What makes the Heat so dominant at home?
Well, it's a couple of things. One, they bring an incredible amount of energy, and they defend their butts off inside that building. They also have this great six-man called South Beach.
They do. South Beach flu.
And if you even think about going across that bridge and hanging out the night before, midway through that third quarter, you're going to collapse. And they know it. And those guys just stay with it, and they wear on you, and they wear on you. Not only are they 20-1 at home, they're 8-0 in overtime.
Scottie, you've played in that city. You've also you also lived in that city at one point. You know what that city can do. Like Fizz says, that six.
It was so good, though.
I mean, you know what? It's about what the Miami Heat has on the basketball court.
Absolutely.
They have some players there that are dedicated and willing to put it out on the line night in and night out. They're not built on a lot of size, but they're able to own the paint.
Yep.
They get after the boards, they get after you on the defensive end, and they also got a guy by the name of Jimmy Butler, who's helped to build that type of culture, the culture that Miami Heat has had over the last 20 years.
Right.
And that's coming there. You're going to work hard, and you're going to play hard, and we'll deal with the results. And that's what we're seeing out of this Miami Heat team.
Fizz, you know this because you coach there. You know that culture, as Scottie was pointing out. But Jimmy reminds me of like a backcourt version of Alonzo Mourning from a personality standpoint. That's if I had to compare him personality-wise to someone, it would be Zoe.
It keeps going back to what Scottie said earlier. Jimmy doesn't care about being liked. Right. He's not here for friends.
Right.
Jimmy wants to win, and that's the bottom line. He is there to compete with his teammates and put Miami in a position to win a title.
To your point, Ethan Skolnick, who has covered the Heat for a very long time, he's now with 5 Reasons Sports, the 5 Reasons Sports Network. He did a story that came out today about Jimmy, and it was basically all his teammates talking about Jimmy. We've heard a lot over the years about how teammates receive Jimmy. Udonis Haslem, the OG in Miami, said this about Jimmy Butler, quote, "Everybody asks me about what happened with Jimmy and other places. Here's the deal. You put him in a cage with a bunch of cats, he's going to growl. You put him in a kennel with a bunch of dogs, and he's going to be right at home."
I like
Mr.
that.
305,
like
that's
that.
my boy. You already know him.
that.
That's a
that
UD
is best
special.
said.
Like,
That is-
it goes
you
along.
can say it.
Udonis Haslem told our team when we were all together with the Big Three, get 4 paws in, because he wanted all dogs with him. And so for him to talk about Jimmy Butler like that makes total sense. And that's the stamp.
Right.
If Udonis Haslem gives you the stamp on toughness
Right.
and being a dog, then you're a dog.
But I also think when you look at it, Scottie, it says a lot about what people view about his other stops, right? Where maybe there were some guys there who were, quote unquote, in theory, maybe more entitled, right? Jimmy is a guy who had to work his way into the league.
Yes. Yep.
He's had to grind for everything. And he's played with some guys who have been either #1 overall picks or top 5 picks. And maybe some of those guys haven't felt necessarily like they had to work as hard.
Yeah, and the thing what I love about Jimmy Butler is, as you said, he's had to work for everything. And if he see a player on his team that's not working as hard as he's working,
Right.
it's not acceptable
Right.
to Jimmy Butler.
Right.
Because he believes that as far as he's came to become who he is as a player, his team can come that far as well. And he lifts teams up like that.
And in that Ethan Skolnick story, before we move on, there's a good story from Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero said, because we all know that people say, oh, Jimmy can't get along with young guys and rookies because of the other stops. But Tyler Hero said that he texted Jimmy right when he got drafted. He's like, hey, I'm the new rookie. And Jimmy's like, come to Chicago and come hang out with me. He stayed with Jimmy there, worked out there. And then Jimmy's like, hey, I got to close on my house in Miami. Let's jump on a plane together and go there. They worked out together in Miami. He took him to a soccer game to watch Neymar when Barcelona was doing an exhibition match in Miami. And he has cultivated a relationship with Tyler Hero.
Well, I think he's always off the court. I don't ever think it's a problem. Is do you have the thick skin that it takes so when Jimmy Butler gets on you, when you're not holding up your end of the bargain, can you take that?
Right.
And those other stops, those young guys couldn't handle it. The Heat DNA, they recruit, they look for guys that can handle that kind of scrutiny.
Yeah, Duncan Robinson in the story said to him, he went under a screen on him. He goes, don't you ever go under a screen on me like that. And Jimmy's like, I like you. Anyway, coming up, LeBron, Coach Fizz, with LeBron just 18 points shy of passing Kobe on the all-time scoring list, what's the significance of that potential accomplishment?
Well, I think it's a few things. One, he's doing it in a Laker uniform. And I know how much respect Bron has for Kobe and what that's going to mean to him historically and for their relationship. But I think the thing that people are missing out is LeBron is going to finish top 3 in assists all time. So to be able to do both at that level is just incredible. And it's just one thing people don't, another little side note to the all-time scorers, the top 2 guys didn't shoot threes. So that says a lot about them.
That's a good point.
Well.
Interesting.
I think, as Fizz said, it's really one Laker passing another Laker.
Yeah.
And if you want to go back a little farther, you can say Kobe Bryant really passed the torch on to LeBron James. And for LeBron to be able to accomplish what he's been able to accomplish and now to do it in a Laker uniform, it's got to be pretty special. And you know, we all saw this coming. We saw this from day one when LeBron James came in the league and started to prove that he was going to fill the stats up across the board. And, you know, the time has come.
Yeah.
Now it's LeBron time to move ahead and move himself on up the chart a little bit.
There's no question. Laker fans, I feel like it'll be interesting, right? Because Kobe is their guy. This is his city. And for LeBron to do it in a Laker uniform, I feel like they'll be happy for him, but it'll be a little bittersweet because Kobe is their guy.
No, man. Laker fans, they're going to root for Lakers. And LeBron's a Laker now. And so they wouldn't want anybody. They wouldn't want him doing it in a Cleveland uniform.
Right.
Let me tell you that.
Okay, that's for sure.
So to have another Laker up on that list, I think Laker fans are really going to embrace that and they're going to cheer for that. But like I said, I think it's pretty cool that we get to see this right before our eyes, this kind of history being made. where that torch is being passed, like Scottie said.
No doubt about it. It's just another amazing moment in what has been arguably the greatest career in the NBA.
Absolutely.
All right, as for the other side of the Lakers and Sixers game, there's a lot on the shoulders of Ben Simmons with the Sixers down a couple of starters. Scottie, is there pressure on Simmons to carry the whole team right now?
No, not at all. This is an opportunity for me for Ben Simmons. Now the floor is clear. He's going to be able to flow the way that he want to flow. The offense is going to cater to him. Everything will be ran through him. And I think that's the kind of player that we've always saw in Ben Simmons. We've always talked about that him and Embiid can't play together. And I think this is an opportunity for him to show people that he can win without having Embiid inside, but also he's a franchise player if he's put in the right position.
I expect him to get triple-doubles from here on out.
Right.
He's a special type of player. This guy can speak from experience. After losing the star, I had to go pull up some numbers, but when Mike went and played baseball, he carried his team into the playoffs pretty well and was third in MVP voting. 22 points a game, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. And it's a challenge and it's an opportunity, like he said. It's not pressure. And guys that look at it from that standpoint usually rise to the occasion.
I think it's interesting. I just did their game in Philly against the Bulls, and there's so much talk, and I had this conversation with him. Like, there's so much talk about what he, quote-unquote, can't do. But even the fact that he doesn't shoot threes but still puts up those ridiculous video game numbers just is a testament to what kind of talent that kid is.
Well, he's very good at everything in the basketball game. Other than just being aggressively, offensively shooting the basketball, Ben Simmons fills the stats up across the board.
Right.
And any player would love to play with that type of player because no one gets mad at playing with a guy that doesn't take threes or doesn't shoot the ball.
Right.
You love playing with a guy that is a giving player
and he
that plays the game the right way, and that's what Ben Simmons is.
Always makes the right play. He shares the game. He builds confidence in his teammates, and he's got an incredible motor.
Yeah.
From 94 feet, I put him up there with the best at being that kind of wrecking ball, that train out of control.
And amazing on defense. By the way, it's rare that we actually have a game on while we're here on The Jump.